We're continuing following those results out of the Victorian election right now. Obviously, there were four teal independent candidates that ran, a couple other major independents as well. As it stands right now, the seat of Kew, which was contested by Sophie Torney, who you'll be seeing in a moment, has been retained by the Liberals by new MP Jess Wilson. She's taking over from Tim Smith. Over in Caulfield, Labor versus Liberal contest, Liberal retained with Naomi Coltman, the teal there. But as it stands right now, Mornington's still up in the balance, and Hawthorn, really interesting there because it looks like John Kennedy is not going to get up, the incumbent Labor. That's not really surprising. Still up in the balance regarding Liberal John Pesutto, who could very well be the party's next leader, and then also teal independent Melissa Lowe. But we do have Sophie Torney here with us right now. Look, you've taken a bit of a margin off the Liberal vote. Obviously, we had a big difference from 2014, let alone 2018. You must be pretty pleased with that, even though you didn't end up winning.
Yeah, absolutely. Really proud of it. We did take a couple of percentage points away from them in an election where there was a 3% swing to the Liberal Party. So it's very exciting. We got very, very close. And so I'm really proud of that.
Were you, because obviously I'm sure you were hoping for a win, but were you expecting potentially some better results and showing for just independents broadly? I mean, as we said, not just with the so-called teals, but also generally Brighton, we were expecting an independent, Felicity Federico, to get up. She didn't. The two independents who were recontesting out in regional Victoria, they both lost, and areas like Werribee, Point Cook, also expecting a big independent swing. None of that happened. So it was Labor there, but of course here we've got the Liberals. Do you think there's any particular reason for that when we have seen both major parties still have have been taking hits in this election on both fronts?
Look, absolutely. I mean, we ran this campaign to win, and so I'm sure the other ones did as well. And the media was reporting largely, and the polling was sort of reporting that they were winnable. And certainly on the ground, talking to people, the community wanted to challenge the two-party system and wanted that change. So look, I think it's probably a two-election process. Kooyong took two elections to elect an independent, and I think that's what we're going to see in a seat like Kew that has been safe Liberal seat since 1927. It's, we got pretty close in 84 days.
Going back
so
to
imagine,
yeah.
sorry, I was going to say, imagine if we had 120 days or, 4 years, which we'll have next time.
I was just going to say, going back to Kooyong, since you brought it up there, obviously, 2018, which was the Vic election before this one, was, before the 2019 one, when we had in Kooyong Greens, Julian Burnside, but also independent Oliver Yates, big hits off the Liberal there. And of course, Monique Ryan won it independent earlier this year. In a way, though, we did see two swings away from the Liberals at that federal level post 2018 Vic election. So was it something to do with more of a local basis? Obviously, the Liberals weren't running, unlike like in Hawthorn, we've got John Pesutto again. The Liberals were not running Tim Smith again. You had Jess Wilson out there, and she's I guess you could say new. She's not just dropped in from the upper house or anything like that. So was there any specific local reasons you think you might not have gotten up, or that the Liberals were able to get ahead here? Because I think, just based off my personal opinion, if it was you versus Tim Smith, I mean, I think the results would have been a lot more clearer there.
Bring back Tim Smith. That would have been great. A great competition. Look, Jess campaigned for 12 months. I campaigned for 84 days. I reckon given another month, we would have got there. I mean, 12 weeks ago, this electorate, the only people who knew me in this electorate were the people, my friends, and within 12 weeks, we nearly got up and won this election. So, I think it's there for the taking. I think Kew is a marginal seat. It's never going to be a safe seat again. And with the changing demographics and these progressive electorates, I think we're going to see massive change in the next election.
Something that's been brought up regarding not just independents, but, minor parties in general, as we have talked about in regards to teal independence, has been obviously Victoria has a lot stricter funding laws and donation laws, where you might not be able to run a Monique Ryan style massive campaign. But also at the same time, you obviously, and we discussed this, had your own issues regarding the VEC, and obviously they was resolved by the end of it. But I imagine that was a setback at times. And you know, both of that, yeah, does go to the VEC here. So, do you think there's any way for potential, I don't know, donation laws to be changed to help independent campaigns, or is there anything you think that might have been able to help you other than a longer campaign, which I'm sure generally would help anyone really?
Well, generally, it would help anyway. It was a very short campaign. Look, the funding, we raised quite a significant amount of funds, over $250,000. So I think the donation caps are terrific. There is this wall. So there is something that needs to be addressed, which is the two parties having these, nominated entities for unlimited funding. I mean, that's just ridiculous. You have donation caps or you don't have donation caps. And generally our election systems steered towards two parties or towards the major parties, and that needs to be reviewed and addressed. And, independents given a level playing field, which is really important. If you look at the ballot paper, my name couldn't actually have the word independent under it. So there's little things like that actually can have a massive difference.
So you think that should be changed? Because I know federally you can have independent there.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, if when there's absentee and postal votes, if a voter doesn't have information from a how to vote card, which they don't in those cases, then how do they know who these people are on the ballot paper? They will stick to the major parties. So we need to address those issues.
Yeah, I think that's something we've discussed before, and it's certainly something that could change. But look, congratulations on your campaign. You have come, significantly closer, and we'll keep following those other teal independent races in Mornington and Hawthorn. Sophie Torney, thank you very much.
Thanks, Leo.